What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York calling from Skype again, and this time we are here with Thomas of the Almighty Sodom. Thank you so much for being here. It's great to be able to have you here, man.
Thank you. You're welcome.
It's so awesome. 40 years of your career, man. Just congratulations, and thank you for giving us so much great music for these last couple of decades. It really is amazing for the world to hear. We did get a new single to celebrate this after the deluge. Is this maybe at all a good representation of what the follow-up to the Genesis album is going to sound like? Or is this just kind of like meant to be just a new single in celebration of the 40th anniversary albums?
Yeah, it's not just a new single. It's just because we put a sampler together and we re-recorded a couple of songs. We choose one song from each album and re-recorded with the current lineup, And we took and when we came to Obsessed by Cruelty, we recorded Equinox. It's on Obsessed by Cruelty album, and then we recorded after the Deluge because the guitarist died a couple of weeks ago. And that was Uwe Christophers who played the song on the Obsessed by Cruelty. And to give him tribute, we recorded this and take this one for the sampler.
Okay. Do you think that like re-recording these songs and with the current lineup and bringing new life to them, that adds a new layer of meaning to the music in a way than when these songs were first originally made?
Yes, I know. I know a couple of fans who are going to tell me that when they want to listen to all of the Sodom material, they always listen to the original ones, But we came up with the idea originally to record a live album for the 40 years anniversary. But, during the Corona crisis, we couldn't find a proper show recording a good album, a good live album, And the second idea was doing a sampler like the 10 Black Years. We did in, I think in 94, just putting some existing material and do a remaster, doing a sampler, So I came up with the idea recording songs from each album with the current lineup, And we don't want to record the hit singles. We looked for a couple of songs who were underrated, never played live, never played in a rehearsal room, So that is the result,
And when it came to like re-recording these songs, were these maybe how you envisioned them like a long time ago in a way, or like was it just kind of like a new beginning in a way for you? Did it almost feel like almost making something completely new?
No, when we took the decision to record the songs, we have to listen to all the albums, That was really funny because we there was a couple of songs we never played, and then we listened to the album, and we try to cover our own songs, but we try to keep the spirit. We try to keep the magic of the 80s, for example, We never change anything. We don't change the lyrics or we don't change the arrangements, But this was good for the band because we are able to perform a couple of songs live, because I want to change the set list during the upcoming shows. We put some rarities into the set list, It was really funny, it's like we're sitting in a time machine, going back to the first demo tapes or the first record in the Sound of Evil, we are standing 100%. We had everything we did in the past, And I know that first two records in the Sound of Evil, Obsessed by Cruelty, that it has a big impact of the black metal scene, of the Scandinavian scene, and yes, it was. But after 40 years, I'm really proud of myself and all the band members, ex-members, We did it,
Yeah, definitely. And like, you led me perfectly into the next couple questions, actually. First is, I've sensed such an evolution in the Sodom catalog when you go from Obsessed by Cruelty to Persecution Mania all the way up to the new album Genesis. Were you able to like maybe foresee this evolution? Was this sort of the direction that you always envisioned Sodom going into in a way, or did everything just happen organically, and the way that we're hearing Sodom nowadays, it just kind of turned out that way?
No, we never, we changed the music at Persecution Mania come out, Express of Sodomy, That we got Frank Blackfire in the band, the music is completely different to Obsessed by Cruelty, I changed the lyrics, I was, in the beginning I was interested in Aleister Crowley. I had a lot of books about this stuff, But in the end, I changed the lyrics about real life, about war and everything, And that was a direction we do until nowadays, you know. If you go to from Persecution Mania to Genesis 19, it's the same music. We changed guitarists, we changed lineup, you know, but we always try to keep the typical Sodom trademarks in every album, you know. We even in the 90s, well, you know, a lot of bands changed the music, you know, tried to get more commercial, and these bands get dictated by record companies doing this or doing that. We never, you know. Sodom as a band always do what we want, you know. The record company, they have to do the promo and we do the music. They get a master without any dictation from outside, you know. And that's a big difference from Sodom to all the other bands, you know. We do what we want, you know. We are just metal fans making music for a while, you know. That is why the music never changed, you know. We try to do it as heavy as possible. And we don't think that we are a typical thrash metal band. There is some black metal in it, some death metal, whatever. I never mind, you know. If we're gonna write a good song, you know, we take it. It doesn't matter what genre this song is, you know.
Definitely. And I think that's why you've always had such a dedicated fan base. It's because regardless of what your fans' favorite album could be, first off, I do think that, you know, there isn't a specific Sodom album that I think is the best Sodom album. I think like for Sodom, like you know, I think people could appreciate Agent Orange. I think people could appreciate Masquerade of Blood. People could appreciate M16. I feel like every album has its own things that stand out. And you mentioned the different subject matters that are incorporated from, you know, the stories of Crowley to different war stories and everything. Did these concepts and these maybe subject matters help dictate the sound of the music as well, or have you always preferred to have a song before you had an idea of what that song would be about?
No. When we start writing songs, we always starting a jam session in the rehearsal room and starting with a guitar riff. You know, sometimes I got the lyrics before. You know, it's completely different. You know, but it's a band who rehearse 2 or 3 times a week in the rehearsal room. You know. And I know a lot of bands where the drummer is sitting in America, the guitarist is in England, you know, and they're gonna write songs by MP3 trading, you know, which I don't like, you know. I want to have a band, you know. We go to the rehearsal room, we get a beer and talk a little bit and start a jam session, you know. And yes, I have a couple of lyrics before we start write the music, you know. But I always try to combine it, you know. When we have a good song together, I start changing the lyrics because I have to get arranged to the music, you know. When I write the lyrics, you know. And it's completely different, you know. But it's very old school what we do, you know. Sitting there, starting a jam session, you know.
But when it comes to the subject matter that you address in your music, has there ever been a time where maybe your own personal life or your own personal experiences also helped dictated the lyrics and the sound as well? Or have you always looked at the band as a means of escapism and you don't really want to bring your own personal trials and tribulations into the music?
That is a good question. You know, when I start writing lyrics, and you know, you never find any political opinion. Also not my personal political opinions, you know. But I always try to describe the world, you know, with my own words, you know, and I describe a war, you know. I always, you know, we had a concept album, it's M16. It's about a Vietnam War, and I was really interested in the history of all the stuff, you know. I remember my grandfather, who was fighting in the World War I, you know, told me stories about that. And when I start writing the lyrics, all the remembrance coming back, you know. I never mind. We put everything together, you know, and try to write a good song, you know. And that's very important. I think the most important is to write a good chorus line, you know. If you listen to a Sodom song, you listen once or twice and never forget, you know. That is very important, you know.
Yeah.
But there is so much musical influence. There is no influence. We start writing a song, you know. We like Venom, we like punk music, you know. But we always try to our own thing, you know.
Definitely. And you definitely do have your own thing. You know, a lot of people wanted to say, you know, you're the big four of German thrash along with Tankard, Destruction, and Creator.
Yes.
Yeah, and of course, you know, I think that's a cool idea. You know, it is almost kind of like a parallel to the American big four. But I even still think that Sodom has its own things that make it stand out. Mainly because, like, I feel like Creator it's more like satanic elements in behind it. I feel like Creator has a lot more things that tie all the albums together. But what I'm always excited about with the Sodom album is, what are they going to sing about this time? What stories are going to be told? What war is incorporated in here? What horrible human being is going to have a song dedicated to it now? I feel like and the music is always coming first. You know, I love the music at first, but you know what?
Yeah.
A good story could also really elevate it a lot more.
Yes, yes. But I don't want to compare Sodom to all the. When we talk about the big four, we played 2 weeks ago, played at Mexico Metal Fest, you know. There was this Creator, Destruction Tanker, also Hellhammer played there, Gravedigger, a couple of German bands, you know. It was really funny. People always asking me, what is about a big four concerts or touring, whatever, you know. No, I think in these four bands, you know, Sodom is the heaviest, you know. I think Creator tried to get more bigger, tried to get more commercial, you know, with bigger live shows, you know. I remember when I talked to Miller the last time, which is a couple of years ago, he told me a Creator want to get big as Iron Maiden, you know.
Wow.
And now they're on a good way on it, you know. I don't want it, you know, because we are a real metal band, you know. I want to play in smaller clubs, you know. I need it more sweaty, you know. I need more contact to the fans, you know. We played the biggest festivals around the world, you know. No matter, it's really funny to do, you know. But Sodom always been a really heavy metal band, you know. We don't want to get commercial. When we start the music, you know, we want to be hated, you know. And there was a revolution against parents, the teachers and trainers, whatever, you know. We just want to do our music, you know. And that is what we always keep in our heart, you know. We want to make real heavy metal music, you know. And Sodom is maybe the last heavy metal band in the world, you know.
Yeah, well...
When we enter the stage, we're going to play live, you know. You know that a couple of other bands that's coming from a computer, you know, the vocals or the guitars or whatever, you know. Hey, man, what is it, you know? If I'm not more able to perform live with my vocals, whatever, I'd stop doing this, you know. So, no, our concept is being heavy metal, you know. Definitely. It doesn't matter if you sell more copies or less copies, if you get commercial, or if you get more interested from the magazines, whatever, reviews, we never mind. We just do what we want, you know. We are just metal fans making music for a while. That is a big difference from Sodom to all the other bands.
Definitely. And I never understood why it has to be a big four. Like, it's not even just like in regions, but they do it with genres. What's the big four of death metal? What's the big four of black metal? What's the big four of metalcore? I think it's all one big community, and I don't think that one should be put over the other. And it's funny you were like mentioning like the smaller clubs, because I love asking bands this, because even though you do prefer to play the small clubs, you know, you've played at every European festival from Wacken to Hellfest to Download, Grass Pop, all that. Would you say, though, when you are on a big stage and you just see a sea of people, that maybe creates a different type of experience? I'd imagine that there is sort of like a different vibe or a different energy when, you know, you're face to face with the audience versus, you know, like having sort of like a whole landscape of it.
I never mind, you know. You know, when we're going to play in Wacken on the stage, you know, there were 100,000 people, maybe more. Yeah. I don't know exactly, you know. But these people don't come for just to see Sodom, you know. I know. But it's a big experience, you know. It's pushed, you know. But I like more playing in the smaller clubs, you know, where people come just for Sodom, maybe the support bands, you know, maybe 1,000 or 2,000 people coming in, you know. That is what I like more, you know. I like the contact to the fans, you know. We always gonna stay there when we play a headlining show in a club, whatever, you know. We're gonna stay there doing a signing session. We always do a meet and greet, you know. We try to give something back, you know. I know a lot of other so-called rock stars, you know. They're gonna play 1 hour, maybe one song more, and they go back to the hotel, you know. We're gonna stay, you know. Sodom is the only thrash band who're gonna play 2 hours. Maybe more, you know. You know, if there is a lot of more energy, you know, we get so many reflections from the audience, you know. So we're gonna stay there, you know. And I like playing in smaller clubs, you know. But we've been on festivals around the world, you know. And the Mexico Metal Festival was 50,000 people, maybe more, you know. And that was a very good experience, you know. But the headlining band was Creator in these times, you know, on this evening, you know. But people come to see both see all the other bands, the big four, what they're gonna. Also, Tanker had a great show, and Destruction.
Yeah, fantastic. And I just saw Destruction earlier, like this winter, and they still kill it, and they still really know how to keep it going. And they have, too, a very dedicated fan base who just want heavy metal, and everybody was up close, and it was an amazing experience. There was another...
They played a lot of shows in U.S. America.
Yeah, 100%. And
they were touring every year,
Yep.
So the time is right for Sodom coming back,
Absolutely. And you guys also are very good with the supporting the underground as well. Like Destruction brought Nervosa out on their first North American tour, which was a great experience for them. And I think you guys, you're right, you do give back, not even just to your fans, but I think to the heavy metal community in general.
Yeah, I know. I met a lot of guys from U.S. America, You never touring America. Yes. I'm sitting at home, my bags are packed, we can go if we want, We just have to find a serious promoter who's going to help us over, That is the only problem, We were supposed to play the Maryland Festival a couple of years ago, and the promoter told us, you can let your guitars at home, you can go as tourists, I can't go as tourists, because they know, it's a Tom from Sodom, what you going to do here,
Yeah.
And we don't want to have any trouble, They're going to send us back home. We need the papers, We need the visa, working license. I don't know the name, what it's called, all the paper sheets. And then we can go and do a couple of shows here,
Yeah.
And that is the only problem, And I give you the guarantee, if we're going to do a couple of shows or touring, the shows will be sold out, definitely.
Yeah, I know. It would definitely be worth the wait, but it's a good idea to get the working. You come as a tourist, and then they see, who's this Death by Cruelty M16 guys? You'll have a field day at the TSA. You'll have a great time at the TSA department.
Yeah, yeah, but we want to come back. We played in New York. We played Los Angeles a couple of years ago. We played BB King's. New York was great. A great place to be. We played South America. We played the whole world. We played Australia. We played Russia a couple of years ago. And so why we never played U.S. America?
There was a couple of other questions regarding to the lyrics I wanted to ask too, because when you incorporate, historical elements or, aspects of war, I mean, not to, dance on, like a real tragedy, but I do have a feeling that, the way that the world is now with war and pestilence and division and all this, I think it will make great room for the next Sodom album. But is there like a lot of research that's conducted as well? Like, are you almost looking at external sources to put pen to paper, whether it be through literature or film or visual art? Are you also looking at other mediums of art as a source of inspiration for yourself?
Yeah. Yes, I do a lot of research. When I look documentaries in the TV, I have a lot of books. When I start writing about the Vietnam War, I was interested because the first movie I got was Deer Hunter with Robert De Niro. It was in '79. That was the first cassette I have, this movie, and I was so inspired by this. And later came Apocalypse Now and Full Metal Jacket, all the other movies, But I also did a lot of his research, There was a magazine in Germany called Numb, which especially was in the 70s, 80s, about the Vietnam War. That was about the history, And I'm really interested in all this stuff, But, when I was writing lyrics, I don't write a newspaper article. I just try to do it in a lyrical way, And I don't want to write about the big war, about the big politics, I'm going to write about the small war, in the jungle, where a man is fighting against the other man, The small war, the war of a small man, who's nobody talking about, That is what I was always interested, I was myself in the German military in the 80s, but there was no war, But I'm really interested in all this stuff,
Yeah, absolutely. And when you're bringing all these different songs from a set list, and I remember when I interviewed you on the phone back in 2020, I did remember asking how hard it is to put a set list together for a live show, having so many albums. But when you play a song, let's say you open up with an M16 song, and then you put a Decision Day song, and then a Code Red song, and then a Tapping the Vein song, going all over the Sodom catalog. Do you think that brings another layer of meaning to it, that almost brings a new type of narrative and brings its own adventure into a Sodom show?
Yes, you know what? I know bands that never change the set list over years. Like I saw the last Motorhead show, I saw the last Slayer shows. They never really change. And that's what I want to do now. I want to change from show to show. And when we choose the songs for the set list, it's really hard because we have so many good songs, so many albums out. And now with a second guitar player, we are able to perform songs we never played before in a live show, because you need a second guitarist. That's always very interesting. And it's not, we play Bombenhagel or Outbreak of Evil or Sodom and Lust in every show. It never gets boring. But we want to change from time to time. That is very, very important. And we also talk to the fans. Which song you miss in a set list. And there are a couple of really good Sodom fans who are going to tell me, you have to play more Tapping the Vein stuff. You have to play more Obsessed by Cruelty, Better of That, whatever. It's really hard, even when you play on a festival and you just have 45 minutes running time, it's really hard because you have to play the classics, and we also want to put some rarities. But when we do a headlining show with 2 hours show, we are able to change it, and that is very, very important to me.
Definitely.
And yesterday we have a meeting in the rehearsal room for the tour. We want to start the next shows with Friendly Fire, which is the song from the latest album, and the second one will be Body Parts, from Tapping the Vein. Wow. So you have 2 really, really heavy songs, and the first 2 songs, and then we go back to Agent Orange and all this stuff.
Well, because war is such a important subject matter for Sodom, I feel like when you make the set unpredictable, just like war itself, it's unpredictable. You never know what's going to happen. So I feel like you really are amping something up. And I have
if there's no more war growing in this world, I have to write about other things. It's a shame. We want to live in a peaceful world without any wars.
Yeah, but when the world,
but war is always a big part of the history of the mankind.
Well,
and that is what I'm gonna write about. I'm gonna write lyrics like a movie. It's without pictures. And I try to do it in a lyrical special way. A lot of people, you write about war, and now we have a war growing in Ukraine with Russia and so on. I never mind. It's a shame that this happened. But it's a big inspiration for me writing the songs.
Definitely. And, one of my favorite quotes is, when the world is at its worst, art tends to be at its best. It is an unfortunate duality, but you know what? I feel like art is sometimes the greatest weapon in the long run, because it does inform people to not repeat history, and does inform people how devastating the world can actually be. And that led me to my final question, because it's not even just your lyrics, but it is your stage presence as well. When I see you holding that bass, it really does become like the ultimate weapon. I feel like it is the Sodom weapon of warfare. As a front man with your instrument, just like what Shamir with Destruction has done and everything, do you feel like your bass is also like an extension of who you personally are? Is it almost kind of like not just an instrument for you, but it is almost kind of like part of your identity and how you portray yourself?
Yeah, I like to have the bass guitar in the head. I had a lot of shows when I played with Uncle Tom, was my second project in Germany. I just been a singer on a stage. It's also a good job, but I need the bass guitar in my hand, and the bass sound is very, very distortion. It's very hard, and it's not like Lemmy, I've always been a big Lemmy fan, or a Kronos, when we started the band, and the first Venom record came out with Kronos on a bass guitar, and vocals. And that was when I talked to my friend, this is exactly what I want to do, I feel very comfortable with the bass in hand, It's I'm not a guitar player, but being the bass and doing the rhythm with the drums, that's my profession. That's what I really like,
Yeah.
I'm not the best bass player in the world, but I'm the fastest.
Well, I've heard somebody say that they've called you the Sting of thrash. So
the Sting of thrash.
Yeah.
I think Sting was never with a really good bass. But what is bass playing? In a normal way, you're gonna play the same bass lines as the guitar, which is not a really bass playing.
Yeah.
if you go to jazz or pop music, that are really good bass players. What we got to do is just doing noise, and just filling the holes the guitar left, with the bass guitar,
If you want to see an insane bass player, you need to look up the death metal band from Canada, Archspire. That bass player,
I heard of one. Yeah,
he's doing hammer-ons on the bass. He's playing it like it's it's absurd. Like it's one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Shout out to Jared Smith.
I think my favorite is John Gallagher from Raven.
Oh wow, yeah.
He's an awesome bass player, and he's singing at the same time. It's unbelievable. He played completely different stuff, which is singing. I can't explain, but it's amazing. He's a really technical and really brutal bass player. I think Lemmy never was a real bass player. He played just like a rhythm guitar.
Yeah.
And I think John Gallagher was and Kronos. That was these two guys inspired me. Or L.G. Ward from Tank. Which really groovy bass player,
Yeah.
But in the first line, I'm a singer. I'm not a bass player.
Yeah, definitely. But we've in the world of rock and roll, we've all heard our fair share of terrible bass player jokes. But just remember, Lemmy and Peter Steele of Typo Negative, they got more girls than anybody in rock and roll. So you know what?
Yeah.
The bass player singers, I think that's one of the most difficult combinations in the world because you have to focus on melody, you have to focus on rhythm, you have to focus on memorizing lyrics. I think
sometimes you have different rhythms, with the vocals and the bass.
Yeah.
That's really heavy to do, but I try, I just, it's not just how accurate you're gonna play. It's the way you're gonna play the bass, how you perform, how you're acting on stage, that is the main thing, We are not working in the studio. I play the bass and do the vocals later, But if you're gonna play live, it doesn't matter. Sometimes there is an issue or a different note, whatever, I never mind,
Yeah.
I think if the whole band is accurate, our drummer is very accurate, very, very precision, and we just try to follow him, in some ways,
Definitely. So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time and for coming back on the show, and thank you for always giving us amazing heavy metal music to go with the dark times that we live in. Is there just anything else that you would like to promote for the release of 40 years of Sodom in terms of maybe a new follow-up to Genesis in a way, or any tours coming up that you'd like to plug?
Yeah, we talk about a new album next year, We have a couple of new songs together, What we're going to do next is maybe try to recording a live album, But I don't want to record a live album in Wacken, in a bigger festival, I need a special place for recording a live album, And some we'll release a new album definitely next year, We need an option from a record company all the time, If they're going to give us green light, now the time is right for a new album, But we always start writing new songs, We have 5 songs finished, which is really heavy, This the next Sodom album will be the heaviest Sodom album ever,
Oh wow, I can't wait to hear that, man. That's gonna be awesome. and it's good, And what you said about a live album too, I've heard somebody say that a live album is sometimes like it's like porn on the radio. It's like not really the most necessary thing. You need to be there in order to get the full live experience.
Yeah. We don't want to do a live DVD, because when we play the live show, all the handles, you can see on YouTube, But if you have a live album without seeing the band, it's more magic in it, When I listened to my first live album was No Sleep Till Hammersmith, It was amazing, I thought, I know that is not a real live album, But we want to do a real live album, like Mortal Way of Life was the first live album of a thrash band,
Yeah.
And we just mix it, There was no second guitars on it or whatever, or we don't change anything, which is really important. But I think the new album, that is the most important,
Definitely.
And that we are really looking forward. And we're looking forward for coming to America again.
We would definitely love to have you here as we eagerly await for, as you said, the heaviest new Sodom album. Thank you so much, everybody. We are here with Thomas of the Almighty Sodom. 40 years of pure German thrash. Thank you so much. We will see you next time on Heavy New York. Check out their new single, After the Deluge. We'll see you next time, everybody.
Thank you.